All right, we give praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMasyiach, our Master, Savior, and King. And let's go look at John chapter 5 and about verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. Now, of course, we won't be reading many scriptures this evening. We'll be reading the epistle letters and the Acts of the Apostles. But we need to determine something with Apostle Shaul, Apostle Paul, don't you think? But let's look in the 22nd chapter of Acts, and let's just see something that this man says. We will look in Acts chapter 22 and verse 1. Our objective this evening, I was asked 3 questions. Our objective this evening is to answer these questions strictly out of the words of the Apostle Shaul, the Apostle Paul. Straight from him and nowhere else. So that means, Yah permit, we won't look in the epistles of Kepha or Cephas or Peter. Won't look in Yachanan's epistle. Won't look in Yehuda's epistle or who you would call Jude. Won't look in the book of Revelation. We may reference these places in certain things, but we will not go to read them. So you know what I'm saying? I will make that perfectly clear and clarify that. We may reference these places, but we will not actually go read them. We might reference the Tanakh. We might reference the Torah, but we will not actually go read them. Unless it pertains to something outside of that specific topic. Do you follow me? Acts 22 and 1. Y'all some hard-headed children in here. I think we need to get some belts out in here. Men, brethren, and fathers, hear ye my defense, which I make now unto you. Now, of course, when you go up a verse and read Acts 21 and 40, you would understand what's going on here. That Paul is standing in front of other Hebrews, and he has begun to speak to them in Hebrew. So take that into account now. Before we go any further, hold on. Philippians chapter 3, verse 5. Just hold on. Just hold your Acts 22. Because if I just said he's speaking in Hebrew, that means we need to look at something, don't we? Acts 3 and 3, though. Acts 3 and 3. I mean, Philippians 3 and 3. I'm thinking about something else. Egbert is sleepy. It says, for we, matter of fact, verse 2. Beware of dogs. Now we know who are called dogs in this book. Gentiles are. Remember, HaMasyiach told them in the 15th chapter of Matthew, it is not meet to give the children's bread to dogs. You know what I'm saying? He was talking to a heathen. So when you sit back and you look at that, those of the uncircumcision are called dogs. And if you are of the circumcision, but are uncircumcised in your heart, you are the same as a dog. We know this from the book of Jeremiah, when he says that the house of Yasharal and the house of Yehuda are circumcised in the flesh. When he say Egypt, Ammon, and Edom are uncircumcised in the flesh. But he said Yasharal and Yehuda are uncircumcised in the heart, which means their uncircumcision in the heart is equal to their uncircumcision in the flesh. Why? Because the uncircumcision in the flesh is a sign that you are not a part of the covenant which Yahuwah made with Abraham. Uncircumcision in the heart is showing that you are not a part of the covenant that Yahuwah made with HaMasyiach, Yahusha, to save your soul. How do we know this? Because we know in Joshua chapter 5 or Yahusha chapter 5, he told them, circumcise them the second time, which came up out of Mizraim, out of the house of bondage, out of Egypt, who were not circumcised. He said, do it to them again. You know what I'm talking about? That's why you see HaMasyiach coming back doing it again. That's why the simple fact, when we turn around and look at it, that's why we're finna read this in Philippians, and what he's talking about is that when you don't keep these feasts, you show that you are not circumcised in the heart, which means you can't be a part of the man covenant, which means you must go to hell. Ain't that's what the law say, right? 3 and 2. Beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of concision. Though I might also have confidence in the flesh, if any other man think that he may have whereof he might trust in the flesh, I more. Listen what he tell you. Circumcised the 8th day, of the stock of Yasharal, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of the Hebrews, as touching the law of Pharisee. So you already told me. He said, oh, you want a boat? I can get off now. And that's what you're talking about. Because you better believe. We're going to sit back and we're going to look at that when it pertains to, he say, I'm but a stock of Yasharal. So that means that's something that go along with that, don't it? Come on back to Acts chapter 22. I say we just going to use the man words now. And we're going to see what we come up with. We're going to see it come up with, is you supposed to do this or not? See, we're not going to take the track that everybody else do. See, we can see him right here going to keep Passover. We can see him right here going to keep Pentecost. No, we're not going to do that. Because they can use that excuse that the temple was still there. You know what I'm saying? That's why he did it. So we're not going to do that. That's too easy. We're not going to take the nigger route. I always say, I ain't going to say nigger route. I retract that statement. We're not going to take the average Hebrew Israelite route. That's too easy. Because they got to come back for that. We don't want to have no comeback. We want the word to condemn that. Not us to condemn it. We want the word to condemn it. Acts 22:1. Men and brethren and fathers, hear ye my defense, which I now make now unto you. And when they heard that he spake in the Hebrew tongue to them, they kept more silence. And he saith, I truly a man which am a Yahudim. Now, if he telling them he's a Yahudim, this is important. Because you know no man would have walked around and called himself a Yahudim. Not if he just sat back. You just seen what he did, what we read in Philippians 3. He didn't call himself a Yahudim now. What did he say? He say, man, I'm from the stock of Abraham. He said, I'm from the seed of Abraham, of the stock of Yasharal, of the tribe of Benjamin. He never called himself a Yahudim now. So that lets you know that Yahudim does not denote tribe or northern or southern kingdom. That's how we able to ascertain that right there. Are we not? Because if we look in the translation anywhere else and say King of the Jews, it's not going to say King of the Jews. It's going to say King of Yehuda. You know what I'm talking about? That's what it's going to say. So we see there's a difference between the two. He just told them right there, I am a Yahudim. What are you crying for? Oh, wow. Oh. Romans chapter 2, verse 22. Whole Acts 22 though. Just bear with me as we lay the foundation. Come on with that drama stuff, man. He always with that drama. Why you be doing that? He's been doing that since I know him too. That's Jordan. That's Jordan. Well, I used to use Joshua. That's Joshua over there doing all that coffee. Oh, that was Jordan. I was gonna say that's Joshua little move right there. Like he can't breathe. They said, we don't go for that, boy. I know what you're doing. I've known him for a little while. 2 and 25. I've known him for a little while. Make it 23. I've known him for a little while. I know what he like to do. That's why I thought that was him. Matter of fact, we just going to go all the way back to 17 and really look at what he say here. Y'all just bear with me now. Y'all just bear with me. Romans 2 and 17. Y'all think we can show you supposed to keep these feasts out these epistle letters alone? Y'all think that's possible? You know, some people don't think that's possible. He say, behold, thou art called a Yahudim, and retest in the law and make thy boast of Elohim. So now we sit back and look at it, right? If this is an epistle to the Romans, and there's supposed to be people that see the Yasharal and Gentiles here, you know a Yahudim can't be, this just can't be everybody. So you know how most Israelites go, right? Oh, see, that would be disrespectful to somebody from the tribe of Ephraim to call them a Jew. No, it would. Not if they know the word. They wouldn't have no problem with that. See, they didn't try to see if you was of the southern kingdom. See, Benjamin, that's why they got called a Jew. What you mean? When you actually go look in Esther and all the other places where they call Yahudim, they don't really make no difference of what tribe they from. The only time you see the difference of what tribe somebody is from, and when they say Daniel and the 3 young men that were with him, it made plainly that they were from the children of Yehuda. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at Esther, it just said they were Jews. Now we know most of them that were in that captivity came from the kingdom, that those 2 tribes that he left. Because remember, he said, I left them 2 tribes. That's what the prophecy say, right? He said, I'm going to leave him, Judah and Levi, I'm going to leave him here, and I'm going to take 10 and bring him over here. You know what I'm talking about? Now we turn around and we look at something, but we also know from looking in the book of Luke that we see a woman of the tribe of Asher there too, in Jerusalem, and not for no feast. You know what I'm saying? We also see a man from the tribe of Simeon there too, and he was there, and not from no feast. If anybody think this anybody from Yehuda and Benjamin and Levi was in that land, you're looking at an idiot. You know how we know that? Because we seen a man who was from Bethlehem, Judea, up in Mount Ephraim in the book of Judges. That's where he was at. You know what I'm talking about? You gotta use your brain. If it don't tell you what tribe they from, then don't make speculation. It's not anybody in this word of any tribe of the seed of Yasharal that would be offended that you called them a Yahudim, because if they had been taught the word, they would know what it meant. Because Abraham was a Yahudim. We can actually go read that in the word. In this man's epistle letters, that this man was a Yahudim. That man was a Syrian ready to perish. But he was a Yahudim. You know what I'm saying? We're going to read that too since I said it. He say, and know his will. You already said, and know his will. Well, what's the Most High's will? Keep my commandments. Believe my word. Believe on him whom he has sent. And keep my commandments. Matter of fact, y'all want to see what the Most High will is? Hold what you got. Let's look at Hebrews 12 and 14. Let's look at 1 Peter. Oh, we ain't going to use 1 Peter for that. No, it's a little different. It's a little different because he say know his will. We're going to use 3 witnesses because this ain't dealing with no feast. We only going to read for Paul when it comes to the feast. But we're going to know his will. But matter of fact, we're not even going to read Peter. We're just going to scrap Peter. We're going to go read 1 Thessalonians 4 and 8. And we're going to read Hebrews 12 and 14. And then we also going to look at 2 Corinthians chapter 7 and 1. And we're going to look at Ephesians chapter 4 while we at it. Because we need to see what his will is. We'll start in Hebrews 12 and 14, brothers and sisters. Everybody all right? Y'all cool? I feel good right now. I don't know about y'all. Matter of fact, make it 11. He say, now no chastening for the present seemed to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yield the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. I read that because last night and the night before, a couple people got badge across their head. But that chastisement is for you to be able to grow from that peaceable fruit of righteousness so that you might be able to die. Because it don't seem good when you're getting your head crashed, but it's for your benefit. Just like it didn't seem good for him to get his head, or her to get her head crashed. She got over it though. He said, wherefore lift up the hands which hang down and the feeble knees. I mean, after you get your, don't even be sitting around here sulking, feeling sorry for yourself. You know what I'm talking about? He said, make straight paths for your feet. That means get in line. That's all you got to do. You've been chastised, you've been rebuked, get your feet straight. Lest that which is lame be turned out the way, but let it rather be healed. So instead of sulking, feeling bad for yourself, and you get cut off, go ahead and just let that be healed by the word. Woo! You ain't hurt for real. Listen what he tell you. Follow peace with all men and kadesh, without which no man shall see HaMasyiach. So, that's the will of Yahuwah, is to be set apart then. Oh, man. That's what it is, right? That's the will of Yahuwah, to be set apart, right? Well, let's look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 8. Well, verse 6, actually. I'll read by verse 2.
Still on the Acts.
Yep. Just wait for it. I got it. You'll know it. Just chill. For we know what commandments we gave you by the Master Yahusha. So if he say commandments we gave you by him, what commandments could he be talking about? For this is the will of Elohim, even your sanctification, that you should abstain from fornication. Now we know that HaMasyiach say fornication defiles a man, right? We know in Matthew chapter 5, he said the only way you can divorce a woman is if she commit fornication, right? Well, see, that's a commandment of HaMasyiach. No, it's not, you fool. All you got to do is go look in the law, Deuteronomy 22. Y'all already told you not to do that. So that commandment that HaMasyiach is given is the same commandments that's in the Torah. See, them people were taught and versed in the law. They already knew this. So when they wrote these epistle letters, you got to understand they already taught and showed these people this. There was no need for them to go through that and write all that out in these letters, and they done already sat in these synagogues and taught these people this. If he telling you to abstain from fornication, you don't think he done taught them what it was? You don't think he sat down and showed them what Mark chapter 7 say? You don't think he sat back and showed them what Deuteronomy 22 say? So they can understand and know what it was? They say if a woman played the whore in her father's house, she should be stoned. That every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and in all. And you know sanctification means set apart too, right? Not in the lust of conspicuance, even as the Gentiles which know not Elohim. Well, hold on. He said the Gentiles don't know him, right? Well, let's look at this 1 Thessalonians. And let's look at 1 John chapter 2.
That was 1 Thessalonians
Chapter 4.
4:6.
No. 2. Let's look at 1 John chapter 2. And let's look at verse 3. He say, hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his commandments. He that saith, I know him, and keep not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoso keep his word, in him truly is the love of Elohim perfected. Hereby we know that we are in him. He that saith he abide in him, ought himself also to walk even as he walked. So let's come back to Thessalonians, and y'all we'll look at that and read that on the morrow, on the Shabbat, because he said you need to walk as a HaMasyiach walk, right? Well, we can read a HaMasyiach keeping tabernacles and unleavened bread. You can read him doing that. When his brothers asked him, are you coming to the feast? He said, I ain't coming right now, but came in secret. He kept both. You can read that. Now, if I'm as to walk and he walk, how am I going to disregard that when he say, take up your affliction and follow me? He say, abide in me and I in you. He that abide in me bring forth. Cut it out, all three of you. Put it down. Now, if you abide in him and you bring forth much fruit, how is that possible if you don't do what he did? How is that possible? This man said, the servant is not above the master. Everyone that is perfect shall be as his master. Man, fix your face. Hear all that noise. You the one wrong. Verse 6, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. That no man go beyond and defraud his brother in any matter, because that HaMasyiach is the avenger of all such, as we also have forewarned you and testified. For Elohim have not called us unto uncleanliness, but unto Kadesh. Well, you know what's amazing? That when we go read the law, that's what he called the seed of Yasharal into. And you know what's even crazier? He said, these are my Kadosh feasts, even that I proclaim to be a Kadosh convocation. So somebody is going to hell. Because Hebrews say you need to follow what's set apart. Paul just told you that you are called under what's set apart. Let's see what 2 Corinthians chapter 7 says. Ooh, woo. Ooh, woo. And after we read this 2 Corinthians 7:1, we'll get to Ephesians chapter 4. But then we're going to read Hebrew chapter 5 and verse 7. See, you know what's a beautiful thing? When you ain't got to go in the scriptures to crack somebody's dome. And I ain't even got to his questions yet. We just build it. See, that's the same way I sat back and told y'all about with the weightlifting and compound movement. You got to build a foundation. You got to build a foundation. Even when you look at HaMasyiach, he built a foundation of a house. He had to lay the foundation before he built the house. Then he built upon that foundation. So before we can get to the root of the matter, you know what we got to do? Got to build a foundation. Then you build that foundation. See, then we got a solid structure to stand on. So when they come back later and try to you can hit them with the LL Cool J. You know what you can hit them with on that LL Cool J? You know what song I'm talking about? What? Tell them what song I'm talking about. I got 3 of them in mind.
Now I need love. Man, you don't get
If you don't get your old sentimental behind out of here.
I said it's not.
Oh, but I'm about you see, it's the fact you said it. You sitting right here sometimes. I look at the wall. I hear my conscience call. I need love. That's what all you wanted to hear the beat drop behind. Boom, boom. That's what you wanted to hear. Yeah, you like the lyrics, then. Mama said knock you out.
Hey,
Or rock the bells.
hey,
You know what I'm saying? Or I'm bad.
I'm bad.
I take a muscle-bound man and put his face in the sand. You know what I'm talking about? He say, boy, I'm not. He say, that's what he told him. He said, I take a muscle-bound man, put his face in the sand.
Okay.
He said, I'm notorious. I crush you like a jelly bean. Oh, straight up. He said, I'm not a novice. He said, boy, I'm not a novice. I'm noble. How would you tell him? I ain't no novice. You know what a novice is, ain't it? That's a beginner. That's a rookie.
You did story old though, man. You know what I mean?
I don't care nothing about them dissing no Oreo.
Forget Oreo. Hold on, bro. You talking too, bro.
Hey, say, forget them Oreos. Let's get you Cool J cookies. That's how you supposed to feel.
Take a shot at it.
So he did say that in the record for real. He say, screw Oreo, get you some Cool J cookies.
Hey, you did Oreo, bro.
That was when he was a man. Before he started licking lighting and licking labels and licking testicles under conference room tables.
Oh, man.
That's what Wyclef said about it. I ain't say it.
I did one in mine.
If you ever watched LL on TV, it was in your head. Nigga always licking his lips. You ain't never thought about that? Grown man ain't got no business licking his lips like that. Every time he round, he licking his lips. Who you licking him at?
Maybe that thong.
You know what I'm saying? And in her prime, his wife was pretty nice. Now she look like a butterball. You know what I'm talking about? Now she sit back and look like that's Thanksgiving dinner. That's what she look like. Go ahead and stuff her with some yams and some stuffing. She be good to go. She right. That got to be a horrible feeling. You find out your husband cheating on you with a man.
Oh, she did?
I don't know. I'm willing to wager she probably knows. She's been in the music business quite a while. I'd be shocked if ain't nobody sampled him. I would be really shocked if his freshness seal hadn't been broken. Hey, boy, he been in the music game a long time. Shoot.
What?
2 Corinthians 7:1. Having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and ruach, perfecting Kadesh and the fear of Elohim. So let's turn around and so he say perfecting being set apart. Mm-hmm. The only way you can know what's set apart is you're going to have to go to the law. There's no way around that. You're going to have to. If you don't, then you walk around here stupid. Like Paul said in 1 Corinthians 15:33, some have not the knowledge of Elohim. I speak this to your shame. Because HaMasyiach said clearly, I came to speak to you the words I heard of the Most High. I heard of God. That's what I came to tell you. I ain't come to tell you nothing different than what he told me. All he told me is what the words say. You know what? He told it to me before it was even written. That's why I say, y'all will. We gonna sit back. Man, come on, bro. All that high capping you doing. Nobody believes you. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say, y'all will. We gonna sit back, boy. We gonna see if we can find these feasts right in the first 3 chapters of the book. I say the first 3. Unleavened bread, Pentecost, and tabernacle, right in the first 3. That'd be gangster one.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
You know what I'm talking about? Before we eat like this here, right in the first 3. 2 of them there, guaranteed.
Sounds better than the pear souffle.
I don't do souffles. What I just asked for? You just threw me off talking about a souffle.
In the first 3.
Ephesians 4 and about 20. We just dealing with Kadesh, man, just being set apart. That's all we looking at right now. Don't you notice that constant theme that he keeps saying this? So how are we going to get around being that? Any Yahudim will be set apart. He say, but you have not so learned HaMasyiach, if so be that you have heard of him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Yahusha. We know that the scriptures say the law is the truth. He was the law made flesh. The word was in him. Now, if he taught his apostles that they told them, go make ready the Passover that we might eat, they kept tabernacles with the man. Why would he teach them to do opposite of that? Why would he teach Paul to do opposite of what he taught the men who literally walked with him? All 120 of them. That doesn't make sense. We have to start back and look at stuff. Does this even make sense? It doesn't make sense for a man to teach somebody to do opposite of what he did. Wouldn't any one of y'all teach your children and say, you know, I know you seen me do this right here, but actually do this over here? They're not going to do that. Whether it's positive or not, that don't even make any sense. Well, take him in the back and beat him. He say that you put off concerning the former behavior the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust, and be renewed in the ruach of your mind. That you put on the new man, which after Elohim is created in righteousness, faith, and true Kadesh. There is again. Now we done read out this man's mouth 4-5 times how you must be set apart. And that's why I said we're not going to go read it, but we're referencing it. We can go look right in the law, and he said, these are my set apart festivals. They are set apart convocations. If these men are telling me to look at what's Kadesh, what's set apart, then it would behoove me to go find where that is. Common sense tells me that. Because like I told y'all, some of y'all know, I done told it to you before, if any ignorant nigga, if any stupid bastard tells you that you don't need no scriptures to validate an epistle letter, walk away. Walk away. Now we just trying to prove a point out this man's word, but we could take everything we read and go validate it right out the law with no problem. You know what I'm talking about? It's not a problem. Hebrews 5. Lil Muffin tell you that. We done told her that from day one. Anytime we read something in these letters, we need to see where they got it from. He say, who in the days of his flesh. Matter of fact, let's make it 5. So HaMasyiach glorified not himself to be made a high priest. But he that said unto him, thou art my son, today have I begotten thee. Where did he get that from? Thou art my son, today I have begotten thee. Where did he get that from? Adam? No. He got that from Psalms chapter 2 and verse 7. That's where he got it from. Word for word. Thou art my son, this day I've begotten thee. Ask of me, and I will give thee the heathen for thine inheritance. And you shall break them into pieces like a potter's vessel, and rule them with a rod of iron. Kiss the son, lest Yahuwah be angry, and you perish from the way when his anger is kindled. Just a little. He said, you gather, they say they have gathered themselves against your HaMasyiach, against your anointed one. He said, he that sitteth in the Shamahim will laugh. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? This man quoting scripture. You gonna tell me you ain't supposed to validate it with it? Where you think he got that from? He said also in another place, thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So where he got that from? Psalms 110. And he talking about Aaron being a high priest. Before that, and a couple verses before, where did he get that from? He got that from Numbers chapter 18. He got it from the Torah. So people are retarded. That's why he telling these people this, because the people he writing to already know this. Why would I write a letter to people who don't know what I'm talking about? Would any of y'all write a letter to somebody in great detail and they hadn't already been briefed of the information before you wrote it to them? Is that not extremely stupid? So when they get the letter, they read it. What is this nigga talking about? Mm-hmm. Guess what they're going to have to turn around and do? Write you to ask you about what you're talking about. If you hadn't already been there and explained it to them. Who in the days of his flesh, when he offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard, and that he feared. We know from Yuchanan chapter 9 verse 31, Elohim hears not the prayers of who?
Sinners.
But him that doeth the will of Elohim and as worships him he hear. So guess what that means? That means HaMasyiach did the will of Yah. And he worshiped him. He served him. He honored him. He praised him. He esteemed him. Therefore, I can hear him. So that means if he feared him, that means he respected his word. He had reverence for his commandments. And you know what that means? He did what the man told him. I mean, we believe Apostle Paul is an apostle, right? Preacher of the word, right? So let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and about verse 14. Make it 13. He said, do you not know that they which minister about Kadesh things live of the things of the temple, and they that which wait at the altar are partakers with the altar? Even so have HaMasyiach ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. You know, gospel for all intents and purposes just means preaching. That's all it means. So those that preach the word should live by the word. So if the word says to be Kadesh, and all the things that we can determine to be set apart are in the law, then what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That tell you need to straighten your behind out. Let's go back to Romans chapter 2. Are we being clear so far? We had 30 minutes. We just rolling right now. Leah, sit down somewhere. Come here, Leah. Come on. We stopped at what? About verse 17. He said, behold, thou art called a Yahudim, and retest in the law, and make thy boast of Elohim. And know his will, and approve the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law. So is he mocking them for being instructed out of the law? Mm. He's saying, you take the things that are most excellent. You're instructed out of. You want to get down? Come on, Elizabeth. We also going to get Romans chapter 7. You know that, right? We're going to stamp that there too, but let's finish this first. Matter of fact, let's get Romans 7 now. He said you've been instructed out of the law, right? So you know we're going to have to read Romans 7:12, right? It's funny how people pick the certain things that they want to pick what the man say. You know what I'm saying? He said, wherefore the law or the Torah is Kadesh. Oh, man. How many times did we read that that's what you got to be? Didn't Hebrews say if you don't got that, you won't see the man? Didn't 1 Thessalonians say without that's what he called you to? And he just said the Torah, the law itself, is set apart. And he just said in the second chapter of the same epistle letter that it's more excellent and you've been instructed out of it. You know how dumb niggas is. You know what a nigga play the law just the 10 commandments. The law ain't 10 commandments because you idiot. Torah just mean instruction. Whatever the man tell you to do, that's law. When he told the stars to stand up in the Shamahim, that was a law. Remember how we were talking about that saying? When he said that saying, don't even move when them rays were up against it, right? That's an instruction when he told that saying. That was law, that was Torah. Stay right there. That's law right there. When that sun and that moon moving its course at its appointed time, that's law right there. This when you come up. This when you go down. That's law. Niggas so dumb. In 1 Kings 13, when he told him, don't you go back and eat bread in this plate, nor drink water. That was law. When that man tell you to do something, that's law. That's Torah, that's instruction. And we know Paul told us in 2 Timothy chapter 3 what? All scripture is given by inspiration of Elohim and is profitable for instruction, for reproof, and righteousness. Wherefore, the law is Kadesh, and the commandment is Kadesh, and just, is blameless, and good. Was then that which is good made death unto me? Elohim forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, worked death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful. So all the law just sit back and show you go contrary, you know you stupid. He say, was that which was made good to me sin? He say, bondage. He say, Elohim forbid. That means sin wasn't the bondage. That means the law ain't got you in no bondage then. It's your disobedience that got you in bondage. It's your disobedience that got you captive. That's simple to ascertain. You know what I'm talking about? And how can instructions in righteousness have you in bondage? You got to be a dummy. Romans chapter 2. Got to be. That ain't make no sense to me. I wasn't raised in no Christian church, so I ain't never hear that talk. You know what I'm saying? I ain't know nothing about that. But when it was told to me, I said, that makes absolutely no sense. So my children are hard-headed and disobedient, so I'm just going to scrap all the rules and just say, just believe in what I say, but you ain't got to do it. That don't make no sense. That's why some of y'all messed up, because you had the whole life where you could do what you wanted to do. And nobody told you that you had any parameters. There was nothing to rein you in. There was nothing to stop you. You know what I'm saying? See, I had parameters. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? I just couldn't come in the house when I got ready. Because there was going to be consequences and repercussions behind that. You know what I'm saying? See, that's what's wrong with the whole earth now. Nobody got no parameters. You know the only time they want some parameters? When they dealing with Mr. Charlie. They deal with Mr. Charlie, they ready to follow his rules real quick. You know I ain't lying. Look how they acting about that young girl that man bammed on her head. Ain't no rules and parameters with your God, but his rules don't. See, she should have listened to Mr. Charlie. She wouldn't have got banned. You should have listened to y'all. You wouldn't have went to hell. What's the difference? You gonna sit back and say Mr. Charlie justified for dropping this little girl on her neck? Because she ain't follow no instructions, but you don't follow the instructions of he who you say is your God? Man, sell that to the next man. We done went postal. Mail it to the next man. Don't send that here. You know what I'm talking about? You gotta sit back and look at that. That's what a lot of people's problem is. They don't want no parameter. And y'all better get it together. Get it together. Because you act like you ain't got no sense. Send you in the back crying, and Big Muffin can't save you. I ain't got no problem walking from in front of this camera and tearing your behind up. Talking about 50 shades of gray, she gonna be 50 shades of black. So Liz, she wrote that playing game. It getting loose. I'm about to crack one of them. Getting on my nerves. You know what I'm talking about?
50 shades of blue.
Mm-hmm. No, not no rod. They can only get 40 of them. Acts chapter 2, verse 18. Romans chapter 2, verse 18. You know, we crazy. You know, people don't live too long. They say that nigga, that's crazy. He said, know his will and approve the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law, and are confident that thou thyself art a guide of the blind, and a light to them which are in darkness, an instructor of the foolish, and a teacher of babes, which has the form of knowledge and of the truth in the law. Thou therefore which teach another, teach not thyself. Thou that preach a man should not steal, dost thou steal? Thou that say a man should not commit adultery, dost thou commit adultery? Thou that abhor idols, dost thou commit sacrilege? So now time this man had any problem with the law. All he's sitting here telling these people is, how you tell somebody to do something and you don't do it? Ain't that what he telling them? Did he stand and talk the law at all? He say the law will bring you out. He say he talking to these hypocrites here. So you say you a teacher of babes and a light to those that's in darkness. He say, but you teach somebody else, you ain't taught yourself. So you ain't taught yourself not to lie, huh? So you ain't taught yourself not to be stubborn, huh? So you ain't taught yourself not to be rebellious, huh? Oh, you ain't taught yourself that, but you want to tell the brother over here. That's why I was telling y'all about when I seen that status dude talking about you was on fire for the word. Now you don't post the word no more. You done got lazy. What if the Most High judged your life off your Facebook page? What if the Most High judged you off how stupid you were? You'd have been in hell 15 years ago. Now that's got to be the most dumbest thing I ever heard, that you would sit back and say y'all would judge your life on who you can appear to be online. You can be anybody you want to be in social media. You can be anybody who you want to be. You know what I'm saying? That too, but I'm just talking about, but in a social media setting, you can present yourself, you control That media. When you look at most celebrities, they try to fight, claw, and scratch to control their image. You know what I'm saying? They don't want nothing to come out, nothing to leak that's different than the image that they have crafted. See, with social media, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, Snapchat, whatever it is, you control what is disseminated to the public. Whatever you want the public to see, that's what they see. Like I told Troy earlier, every woman want to sit back and act like, yeah, man, you know, or me and my wife, we so happy together. Niggas don't never post no pictures when they angry with each other. Where them pictures at? What about the people that's always post, we ballin', we doing good over here? Well, where your photographs at when you broke? Why you don't say, well, we broke over here. We doing our thing though. Where them at? You know what I'm saying? Only post pictures when you got new shoes. Why you don't post no pictures of the regular shoes you wear every other day? So you control the image. Y'all just sat back and seen a woman got murdered in Phoenix, Arizona. The man who murdered her posted word every day. Shabbat shalom. All that type of stuff. Got up, put a bullet in that girl's head. You know what I'm talking about? So that don't mean nothing. You know what I'm talking about? How many people y'all know or yourself posted that word on Facebook every day and did direct opposite of it? Proof in the pudding. What does that mean? What does that mean? Like what I told y'all about what my homegirl said to me, that was not no boasting, because I was being real with her. Like, we having an internet conversation. It ain't a real conversation because we ain't actually talking to each other. And we just reading words across the screen. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, how do you know I'm doing this? This is my first response. Because all you seeing is me posting something. You can't put no stock in that. It was the fact that I know your personality and character is why I'm confident in that. But when you look at most of these people who posting all this stuff, you don't know these people. Most of them niggas, you don't know them. That nigga could be sitting in there butt naked, greased up, playing with himself while he typing. You don't know. I'm just being for real. You know it. He could be doing that. Typing stuff around here, butt naked, watching a porno on one computer, typing on Facebook on his phone. You know what I'm saying? Nigga could have just got up out of some vagina that ain't his wife, talking about this here, praise Yahuwah for another day. Straight up. How you know? Mm-hmm. Y'all, they know a dude sat back and say, yeah, man, shoot, sometimes I sit in my room, I hear my conscience call.
Think a little boy booty.
Think a little booty. Little rectum. I want the one that stank and not wank. He said he don't want the one that wank. He want the one that stank. How do you know?
Sit down.
Like I told you, man, you can paint yourself on social media any way you want to. You control the dissemination of information. You know what I'm saying? But you get exposed in real life. Why you think a lot of them dudes don't put pictures of themselves up? Because they don't want you to actually know what they look like and you catch them in public. For real. You know, a lot of them dudes won't put no picture up there.
Hidden man.
That's a sign in itself. That's an old wicked dude. He don't want me to see him.
Invisible.
Let's finish this Romans 2:23. He say, though thou make thy boast of the law through breaking the law, dishonor thou Elohim. So again, he ain't say nothing. He didn't say the law dishonored y'all. He said your disobedience did. For the name of Elohim is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written, for circumcision truly profit if thou keep. So being the seed of Yasharal, there's going to be gain if you keep it right. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not the circumcision be counted for circumcision? And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee, who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law? He say, boy, you ain't keeping it in faith or nothing. For he is not a Yahudim, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh, but he is a Yahudim, which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart, in the Ruach, not in the letter, who praise is not of men, but of Elohim. Now when you turn around and look at, when you look at Abraham, his praise was in Yah, not man. When you look at Isaac, his praise was in Yah, not man. When you look at Jacob and Joseph, their praise was in Yah, not man. When you look at Yahushua, son of Nun, and Caleb, their praise was in Yah, not man. When you look at Moses, his praise was in Yah and not man. When you look at Yahushua HaMasyiach, his praise was in Yah and not man. See, most people, you know what they sit back looking at? See, a lot of brothers think we keep feasts and we keep Shabbat. They think we doing that for man. See, look at them brothers keeping the Sabbath over there. They keep them feasts. They're some righteous brothers. We do that for y'all, man. We don't do that for man. I don't care if you see us do it or not. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't matter, because we're going to do this regardless. If we ain't had no camera, we ain't had no Canon HD camera, which we hadn't for a long time, didn't we? Still did it. I'm talking about kept Shabbat, still did it. No recordings or nothing. Still did it, didn't we? We ain't had no laptop to sit back and record, nothing on any other day. Do we still do it? It made no difference. We kept feast days before, no camera, no nothing. Straight in the house. If you was there, you got it. If you wasn't, you didn't. Straight up and down. Y'all remember during Unleavened Bread, that Ustream with the tripping? Did we stop going because the camera didn't work? Kept on going. Don't care nothing about if anybody see it. We ain't doing this for men. We do this for y'all. It's pleasing to him. See, and I can understand where them brothers come from when they say it, because most do it for the praise of men. You know what I'm saying? They don't do this for you. That's what you gotta sit back and look at. Who are you doing this for? Are you doing this to be seen of men? Or are you doing this to be seen of Yah? Are you doing this to be heard of men? Or are you doing this to be heard of Yah? Are you doing this to be praised of men? Or are you doing this to be praised of Yah? Because who that serve me, my Father will honor him. You know what I'm saying? That's what you gotta look at. We could go in the law and look where kings ordained. Y'all better come keep these feasts. Hezekiah did it. So why wouldn't HaMasyiach do it? And the whole book by him. Don't make sense. Acts 22, that's all. They call it the book of Yahuwah. The Torah of Yahuwah, the instructions of Yahuwah. Let's go see what the Torah, let's go see what he told us to do. Why you think he said, and guess what the law say? A king got to have a copy of it, so he don't forget it, that he learned to fear Yah. So guess what that means? He would tell the people to do it too. You know why he also tell the king to have an instruction of the law with him? Have it with him in the throne, to walk with it, so he could be the example, because he the lead man. He be the example. Now, it's only one other person that's close to the king. That's the high priest. That's the high priest. That's the only person. It's the king, then the high priest. You know what I'm talking about? And guess what a HaMasyiach is? Both. Both. And guess what a high priest gonna have? See, niggas so dumb, the high priest just didn't do sacrifices, you dummy. They had the law. Who you had to go see about the law? The high priest supposed to have been more skilled in the law than anybody. Than anybody. And we just read he's a priest after the order of Melchizedek, which means king and priest. Law there. Because we already read Melchizedek had it. You can't be the priest of the Most High Yah don't have a law. That's insane. That's insane. Acts 22:3. What's wrong, Egbert? He said, I am truly a man which am a Yahudim, born in Tarsus in a city in Sicilia, yet brought up in this city at the feet of Gamaliel, and taught according to the perfect manner of the Torah of the fathers. Ooh. And was zealous towards Elohim, as ye are this day. Well, we know from Acts chapter 24 and verse 14 that Paul said he believed all things that are written in the Torah and in the Tanakh. That's what he said, right? That means if you believe what's written in something, guess what that means you're going to do?
Follow it.
You're going to follow it. You're going to follow it. You can't believe in something and not do it. If you don't do it, that means you didn't believe in it. That's cut and dry. Ain't no gray area with that. Now, we've established that, right? Have we fairly established that, gentlemen? Young ladies, by show of hands, we done established that. That's been established. So we can see that the law of Kadesh and Paul supports it, right? Man, hush, man. let's see the first question that he asks. He says, my understanding, in order to keep the feast days when Yasharal is established as a nation, not when we are scattered about, not in captivity. Where do you read anywhere that you couldn't keep these feasts unless we were a nation? Now, we're going to have to find that to see if that's in the law or any scripture. I've never read that myself. Any of you brothers on the phone, any of y'all ever read that before? Have you read that before? I've never read that. That's why he said from his understanding, so I can't be mad at him for that. Because he wasn't stating that as that was fact. He said from my understanding, this is what I've been told. No, I mean, you know, some people say that, and no matter what the situation, they will. My understanding of the situation is this. This is mean I'm not saying that this is definite or this is 100% correct. As far as I understand from what I've been shown or what I've been told that this is the case. I can't be mad at somebody if they preface their statement with that, because then they're not coming concretely and saying you can't do that unless this the fact. That's what he say from my understanding. That means you could be open to changing that. You understand what I'm saying? See, sometimes you have to actually listen to what people say, even if you think they're full of crap. Actually, if a man sit back and say, from my understanding, he leads off my understanding in order to do this. So that means I'm going by what was taught to me or told to me. I know the man that I am. If I make that statement, hey man, hush man. Hush man. Hush man. Just go in the back. Just go in the back, man. Just go in the back by yourself. Just go in the back by yourself. Now just sit him back there. Let him sit back there by himself. Let him sit in the dark. Let him sit in the dark. You be all right? You want to cry? Let's sit in there and cry by himself. After a while, they'll start crying. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I say now, I've never read that. If anybody can show me where you can't do that, I would love to know. Because I've never read it. You know what I'm saying? I don't recall seeing that in Genesis. I don't recall seeing that in Numbers, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Exodus. I don't recall seeing that in any of the history in Ruth and Samuel and Judges and Joshua and Esther and Job and Nehemiah and Ezra. I don't recall seeing that. I don't recall seeing that in Isaiah and Jeremiah, Haggai, Habakkuk. I don't recall seeing that nowhere. Malachi, Zephaniah, Zechariah, Obadiah. So if we ascertain that we can't find that, then we have to ascertain, is Yasharal established as a nation? Well, let's look in Romans 11 and 1. Also, hold on, before we look at Romans 11 and 1, let's look at Romans chapter 4 to see that Romans 4 and 9, that Abraham was the first Yahudim. Come this blessedness upon the circumcision only, or upon the uncircumcision also? For we say that faith was reckoned to Abraham for righteousness. How was it then reckoned when he was in circumcision or in uncircumcision? Not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision. And he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of righteousness of the faith, which he had yet being uncircumcised, that he might be the father of all them that believe, though they be not circumcised, that righteousness might be imputed unto them also. And the father of the circumcision to them who are not of the circumcision only, but who also walk in the steps of that faith of our father Abraham, which he had, being yet uncircumcised. For the promise that he should be heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the law, but through the righteousness of faith. So that's the key thing. Now, he made a promise. There's no promises in the law. See, that's what he's sitting back, what people miss that at. This is how you can sit back and look at how you were the first Yahudim. To become a Yahudim, that's why he says his praise is not in man. It's not in man or in the letter, but in the Ruach and in Elohim. Because that means you become a Yahudim because you believe in the promise. And because you believe in the promise, therefore that spurns your obedience. You understand what I'm saying? See, when you sit back and you say you believe in the HaMasyiach, then you believe in the promise. He said, men and brethren, what shall we do? Repent and be baptized in the name of Yahushua HaMasyiach for the remission of sins, to receive the gift or the promise of the Ruach HaKodesh, that your sins might be blotted out in the time of refreshing. That is the promise. You know what come along with believing in the Mashiach with that promise? Sonship. You know what comes with sonship? Heir. You know what comes with being an heir? An inheritance. You know what that inheritance is? The same land he promised to Abraham. Same land he promised to Abraham. Same land. So when you actually believe in the Mashiach, you show yourself to be the seed of Abraham because you believe and trust in the same promise that he did. You know what I'm talking about? Which would show forth that you have the same faith that he did. Which would make you a Yahudim because you would do what Abraham did. Because I know him. He'll do justice and judgment and keep the way of Yah. He kept my charge, my law, my statute, my commandments. So you have to look at that. Because without obedience, you can't receive a promise. I made a promise to you and you believe that I would do it. Now this is what you got to do to get it. It's simple. You promise your kids you get straight A's, I give you $100. They believe that you'll do that. If they don't come through and bring them straight A's, they don't get that $100. Simple as that. If Abraham doesn't do his half, he doesn't get what he promised him. But guess what Abraham did? He was faithful. See, that's what brothers get it mixed up at when he's talking about the law and the promises. We know that the law is not a promise. That is your instruction. That's not what I promised you. You know what I'm saying? But when we actually look at unleavened bread, we look at the promise. Because they told them, if you put this leaven out your house, and you put this blood on your doorpost. Matter of fact, the reason why they left, they ain't had no leaven, because they didn't even have time for the bread to rise. They had to get out. There wasn't even no time for sin to develop. You know what I'm talking about? But if they didn't believe that if they put that blood on their doorpost, they didn't believe that, then they wouldn't have done it and they would have died right along with them Egyptians. See, they had to believe. See, that was the righteousness of faith right there. They didn't even realize they were showing themselves to be Yahudim with that. Because you had to believe y'all to do that. In captivity. It don't matter if they were in captivity or not. You had to believe, though. Jeff fought it?
No, I'm just
Busy.
trying to say,
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When you look at Pentecost, again, that shows forth the promise. Because the promise of the Ruach HaKodesh was given on that day. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't keep it, you wouldn't have been there to get it. You know what I'm talking about? When you look at tabernacle, it is the promise of the marriage supper of the Lamb. You know what I'm talking about? It is the promise to be gathered back into the place where you left from. If you don't keep it, then you actually didn't believe that he was going to come get you. Like he said he would. You know what I'm saying? So you actually keeping it. That's why I say it's not for praise of men. You know what I'm saying? It's not just to say we keep Torah and all that. It's not for that. It's because you understand the promise that is attached to it. And because you believe the promise that is attached to it, you do it. I mean, it's not really hard to understand. It's not really hard to understand. What did I say I wanted in Romans? 11:1. Now, for this one instance here, we're going to have to go outside the epistle of Paul to validate being made a nation with two witnesses. Romans 11:1. To get this to this particular point. He say, I say then, have Elohim cast away his people? Elohim forbid, for I also am an Israelite, or of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Ain't that something he just say? He say he are the seed of Yasharah. He say I'm also a Yasharah, right? Mm-hmm. He say I'm of the seed of Abraham. Why he ain't say he was a Yahudim then? He didn't say it right there though, did he? He say Elohim have not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Wot ye not that the scriptures say of Elijah, how he make intercession to Elohim against Yasharah, saying. So we know he didn't cast away his people. Mm-hmm. And we know Romans chapter 3 say, what advantage had the Yahudim chiefly in every way, because the oracles of Elohim were given to our fathers. You notice that he said, what advantage had the Yahudim? So that means them people who were getting the word then, he would call them Yahudim then, those that believe. Those that believe. He didn't call them a Yahudim then. But guess what? Moses tried to tell him in Deuteronomy to be a Yahudim, to be no more stiff-necked and circumcise the foreskin of your heart. He was trying to tell him then. Jeremiah tried to tell him to be one, circumcise the foreskin of your heart and come back to Yah. He tried to tell him. This thing been established from the beginning about being circumcised in the heart. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. That's when that circumcision of the heart, where it's the belief in the promises which causes you to obey. You actually believe what the man is promising you. When you don't believe what he's promising you, that is why you actually don't do what he says. You know what I'm saying? See, these people actually don't believe in the promise that, like I see brothers say, be baptized in the Ruach. How do you get it, sir? He said you got to believe on him as the scripture have said. If you believe on him as the scripture have said, then you're going to do as he said. Because he say the scripture, the Torah and the Tanakh is the key in believing on him. Without that, you have no faith in him. And you can't have faith in him and not obey. You're not going to convince me of that. No one could. You know what I'm saying? And they could call me whatever they want to call me. They could say whatever they want to say. I don't believe that. So when we look in Philippians 2 and 13. He say, for it is Elohim which work in you both to will and to do his good pleasure. Do things without murmuring and disputings, that you might be blameless and harmless, the sons of Elohim, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom you shine as lights in the world, holding forth the word of life, that I may rejoice in the day of HaMasyiach, that I have not run in vain, neither labored in vain. If he sit back and say you are now the sons of Elohim, that would mean you were a nation. Because you got to understand something. We became the sons of Yahuwah when we entered into that Red Sea and were baptized. You became the sons of Yahuwah. You became a nation at that point. We didn't become a nation just when you got the covenant. You became a nation when he made you the sons of Yah. That's why he didn't let the Egyptians come through that water. Because the Egyptians had been afflicted. See, we didn't read verse 9 in Hebrews 5. He said he learned obedience from the things that he suffered, that he might bring many sons under esteem, many sons under glory. But you realize the Egyptians suffered. They come through that water, they got a better chance of becoming a son than you did because you didn't suffer. You know what I'm saying? You ain't go through nothing. You have to say, we ain't went and looked at it, and I've been wanting to for a long time. We ain't got around to it. We could look at them plagues of the Egyptians and sit back and look at them, the plagues that hit HaMasyiach. And that's why the Egyptians couldn't come through that water. Because Yah is just. He would have had to make them sons. They suffered. They would have learned obedience from the things that they suffered. You know what I'm talking about? Boy, it went dark on them. They crops got ate up. They waters got turned to blood. You know what I'm talking about? Hail, lice, all manner of tribulation hit them people. Well, you don't think they'd have came through that water and sat back and heard that man? You don't think they would have obeyed him? Why you think you ain't obeyed? You ain't had no parameters. You ain't go through nothing. So when you got dust upside your head, you like this here, man, this dude here tripping. I'm going back. Why you think a lot of people quit? You know what I'm saying? I've been doing what I want. Man, ain't nothing been happening to me. I do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? When you turn around and you look at it, man, I ain't saying it's like this 100% of the time. But people who done been through a lot, dealt with a lot, well, they take this here, boy, they hold on to it real hard. You know what I'm talking about? Real hard. Because, boy, if I've been suffering for doing sin, well, I'm going to suffer for the word, boy. If I've been cracked upside my head for doing wrong for the word, I'm going to take this cracking for it. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at stuff like that. You got to look at stuff like that. So when we come back around here, right, Romans chapter 8, verse 14. Calm down, Egbert. That boy, that got some nails on him. Hey, Egbert. Make it 13. Make it 12. Make it 11. Matter of fact, make it 10. If HaMasyiach be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the spirit is life because of righteousness. If the word be in you, then your body would no longer commit sin. It would be dead to sin because you would no longer live in sin. Because remember what we read in Hebrews 12, no chastening seemed joyous at the time, but after it's over, it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness. You know what I'm saying? So if you've been chastised and you've been rebuked and you have suffered, you've taken up your stake, you've taken up your affliction, then the word would dwell in you, and then your body, your flesh would be dead to sin. You would no longer live to sin. Ain't no more masturbating, ain't no more smoking, ain't no more drinking, ain't no more fornicating, ain't no more lusting, ain't no more lying, ain't no more stealing, ain't no more disobedience. I no longer live to that. Like we were leading up to last week, which we didn't get to finish yet in Ruth chapter 1. Y'all we'll do it on the Shabbat. You would judge if one have died for all, then we all are dead. And that we should live unto him who died and raised from the dead forward. That's why he said the spirit is in you, which is righteousness. Because of the righteousness of HaMasyiach, his obedience, his faith, his confidence, his trust in Yahuwah, he was able to attain the spirit of Kadesh. We already know that. He said he was rose from the dead from the set-apart spirit. The Ruach HaKodesh rose him from the dead. And you gonna tell me that the set-apart spirit rose him from the dead, yet he wasn't set apart, and I ain't got to be set apart and do the things that would set me apart? How am I set apart not keeping the feast when the whole world do that? How am I set apart not keeping the Shabbat when the whole world do that? Contrary to popular belief, it is more people breaking Shabbat than keeping it. Contrary to popular belief. There are billions of people in the world. Everybody's not stopping what they're doing for 24 hours when the man told you to do it. They're not doing that. Regardless of what days people keep their feasts on. Everybody's not doing that. You know what I'm saying? These feasts mean nothing to these people. It barely means something to most of these Israelites. You know, I done had brothers tell me it's impossible to gather 8 days for a feast. Well, how would you know if you never tried to do it? You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't want to do it. Just be real with it. You know what I'm saying? If you was in the land, you wasn't coming up to Jerusalem. You wasn't coming. And if you came, you would have been complaining about how long you had to be here. See, for a Yahudim wouldn't be no complaint, because there would be nothing better to be in the house of Yahuwah and hear his word and to do the things that's pleasing to Yahuwah. That's the righteousness of faith, right? That's that, oh, I believe in the promise. I know why I'm here. I know why I'm doing this. It's just not for me to be here and eat and make an offering. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here just for that. I'm here because of the promise that is entailed in this day. You understand what I'm saying? We know tabernacle is the feast of ingathering. The gathering in of the harvest. We know from the Tanakh and the Torah and the Gospels what that means. You know what I'm saying? So that's the promise. So because of the promise, I will be there. We know that the unleavened bread and tabernacles are how many days? 8 days. Notice how Paul always talked about this circumcision. So we see when you keep an unleavened bread, which is your faith in the Mashiach. Oh, hold on. Let me finish this Romans 8. And then we'll read that. Because we got to get ready to wind this down. I ain't even hit all his questions yet. But yet we done showed you supposed to do it. But I got to answer his questions though. It wouldn't be fair if I didn't answer his questions. He says now, if the spirit of him that raised up Yahushua from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up HaMasyiach from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his Ruach that dwell in you. And it's amazing that Telahim 119, Psalms 119 says, quicken me by your precepts. Your law has quickened me. Your law has made me alive. Your precepts have made me alive. Your instructions have made me alive. Your son has made me alive. He told you in Telahim 25, Psalm 25, he'll teach sinners in the way. He'll show his covenant to the humble. That's what he did with HaMasyiach, and that's what HaMasyiach will do with you. That's why he turned around. If you have been taught of him, then you would put off the old man that's corrupt according to deceitful lust, and put on the new man, which is created in true righteousness and in true kadesh, true set apart living. You know what I'm saying? That's why we think y'all let us come around here through one man. Well, from one man to another man, got to me. We looked at it. Guess what? Hey, we was a little early. Let's go ahead and adjust it. Now we really set apart because it ain't many people in the world doing it. A lot of people don't want to be set apart. It's not their motivation. It's got to be ours, though, gentlemen. It's got to be ours. If it's not, we won't see HaMasyiach. So he says, therefore, brethren, we are debtors, not to the flesh, to live after the flesh. You see that there? I mean, you debt, that means you owe. That means you owe HaMasyiach. You owe HaMasyiach to live for him and not for your desires. For if you live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if you through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. If you through the word can kill your body with the word, you will save your soul alive. You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of brothers see it's the Ruach. What a Ruach is going to bring. He said the Ruach HaKodesh, or the Comforter, will bring all things to remembrance what I said to you. Regardless of what these people tend to forget, this man taught them the entire book. This man taught them the entire book. He's a high priest. He had to do it. Ain't no high priest not going to teach you no law, man. If you believe that, you were spiritually retarded. Ain't no high priest not going to teach you no law, man. If he don't teach you no law, he just dishonored his office. Huh? And this man high priest, he got to teach you the law. Ain't that what the law say high priest supposed to do? If HaMasyiach kept every bit of the word, then guess what he going to do? He going to do nothing different. He ain't gonna do nothing. He said the priest's lips should keep knowledge. They should seek what at his mouth? The law. I ought to be able to get instruction from this man's mouth. I ought to be able to tell what to do from this man's mouth. He said the scriptures are able to give you comfort. That through the scriptures you might have hope. That's what they were given to you for. So that means even in the instructions there's hope in them. Hope to a better resurrection. Hope to be met of Yah in peace. These boys don't care nothing about that. They say, go on ahead and fornicate. Just encourage. Encourage, brother. Encourage. I ain't encouraging stupidity. We've been encouraged in stupidity and lies for too long. It got to come a period of time. I don't want to be encouraged in lies no more. I don't want to be encouraged in stupidity no more. Don't justify me for being a nigga. You know, Lauryn Hill had a song like that there called Mr. Intentional. She said, I don't need you to justify me. That's what people want when they do wrong, somebody to justify them. I'm not that man. I'm not that man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to justify you when you do wrong. I ain't going to do it. Find somebody else to do it. You know what I'm saying? It ain't doing you no good. People been doing that to it for too long. You know what I'm saying? Where did it get us? Well, I don't think most of them got diapers on, but sitting in poop like some of them do when they take a dump in their pot. They just stewing in it. You know what I'm saying? We ain't no different than a baby with a diaper on. They walk around here with crap on our pants. You know what I'm saying? And you know the word part is, when you go to try to potty train them, and some people, they doo-doo on themselves, you don't even slap them upside their head for doing it. You know what I'm talking about? Because you know better than to doo-doo on yourself. You know to get over there and use that toilet. But what did you do? Oh, it's all right, baby. Let me get you another pair of underwear. It's not all right. It's not all right. You know what I'm saying? You know what they usually do? You do the opposite. When instead of whooping them, you know what they usually do? Go sit on it. And you sit on it till I tell you to get up. And they be looking so sad and sick while they sitting on that toilet. I think Lizzie sat on there for about almost an hour. She just sitting there looking like this here, just looking around, sucking on the pacifier, wondering when can I get up off this pot? You'll never get off this pot. You know what I'm saying? Sit back and think about living in sin ain't no different than you peeing and doodling on yourself, watching urine run down your leg. Feces sitting in your drawers. And you stewing in it. waiting for somebody to come change it. Can't go out like that, brothers and sisters. Can't go out like that. Verse 13, for as many as are led by the spirit of Elohim, they are the sons of Elohim. If you're the son of Elohim, that means you're a nation. That means you're a people. For you have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the ruach of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. The ruach itself bear witness with our spirit that we are the sons of Elohim. And if sons, then heirs. Heirs of Elohim, joint heirs with the HaMasyiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may also be glorified together. So we have to go out of one epistle letter for this. We don't really have to. But you know in John, you know, he said, beloved, we are the sons of Elohim, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be, but when we see him, we shall see him as he is. What manner of love has Yahuwah bestowed upon us that we should be called the sons of Yah? In order to be called the sons of Yah, you got to be a people. See, he never said he cast away. See, we're not going to read Romans 11 all the way through. He said, boy, he going to graft them people back into that olive tree. We're going to read Romans 11 right here, though. Romans chapter 11, verse 25. We're going to read that there, though. Matter of fact, look at verse 15 first. Listen what he say. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? Don't you know we can sit back and look at HaMasyiach being cast off as for the reconciling of the world and life from the dead? For if the first fruit be Kadesh, oh, and HaMasyiach is the first fruit of all creation, and he's set apart. He talking about Yasharah here, though. He say the lump is also Kadesh, and if the root be Kadesh, so are the branches. I am the vine, ye are the branches. Abide in me, and I in you, and you shall bring forth much fruit. And even this go back to the law. He say, if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree were grafted in amongst them, and with them partake of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bear not the root, but the root thee. That's the same way you ain't got no business around here boasting you was of the seed of Yasharah. You come from HaMasyiach. HaMasyiach ain't come from you. He bare you. You didn't bear him. You know what I'm talking about? Come on down here to 25 though. He say, for I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, which is a hidden truth, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened to Yasharah until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. And so all Yasharah shall be saved. As it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away unkadeshness from Yahweh. Don't y'all know who this, you know where he get this from? Y'all know what he quoting? He quoting Tanakh. He quoting Yeshayahu. He quoting Isaiah in the 59th chapter and the 20th verse. That's what he quoting. So guess what that means? They done became a nation again when the deliverer come. When the deliverer come, that'll make you the sons of Yah again. Because you'll be the sons of the faith, which means you would be the sons of who? Abraham. Ooh. So we see establishment of a nation then, don't we? I ain't finished with it yet. Romans chapter 9. I'm not finished with it yet. You know that we just deal with Rome. Ain't got to go all the levels. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even got to question number 2 yet. I'm going to get there. You know, they attribute Hebrews to Apostle Paul. That's why we read it. I don't know if he wrote it or not. You know what I'm talking about? They attribute it to him, though. Nobody actually really knows who wrote it. Romans 9 and 3. For I could wish that myself were accursed from HaMasyiach for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Yasharah, to whom pertain the adoption. So what pertains to Yasharah, the adoption, which means the sons of Yah, which means to become a people. And the esteem and the covenant. So every contract in this book, which no man can disannul, like he said in Isaiah, right, pertain to this people. Can't break them. Can't break them. Because he said no man can disannul it. You know what I'm talking about? That's why HaMasyiach had to come disannul the first one. No man could disannul that first covenant, man. Only person could do it is who? Yah himself. So how did he do it? Let me send my son. He can disannul it. You know what I'm talking about? And the giving of the Torah. So the giving of the law pertained to who? Yasharal. What's in the law? The feast days, right? And the service of Elohim. Keeping the feast days is your service to Yah, right? Oh boy. And the promises, whose are the fathers, of whom concerning the flesh HaMasyiach came, who was overhauled, and Elohim blessed forever. Amen. Not as though the word of Elohim have taken none effect, for they are not all Yasharal, which are of Yasharal, neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, they are not the children of Elohim, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed. You notice what did he say? Seeds of seed. What did he say? Singular. Galatians 3. Because didn't he say in Abraham, you become a great and mighty nation? Abraham meaning exalted father. Your father was a Syrian ready to perish, went down into bondage, and when he came out, they became what? A populous people, right? We know HaMasyiach, called mighty father in Isaiah, right? He was ready to perish, right? Went down into bondage, right? And when he came up, there was men who were resurrected with him, right? So guess what that means? He became a great and mighty nation. How did he end up becoming a great and mighty nation? Because he sent in Ruach HaKodesh on his apostle. And what did they do? They preached the word and gathered 3,000 souls, as many as the Most High ordained to be saved. And they continued on, gathering up people, making a nation. That in the place where you were called, you were not called the people of Elohim. He said, I will say, those are my people. That means you done became a nation when the Mashiach rose from the dead. Guess what? Hold on. Got him. Got him. Niggas so dumb. We were in the land, but we were in captivity when the man was keeping unleavened bread and Pentecost and tabernacle in the first place. We were not free. We were in captivity. You know that? You know why I'm mentioning that? Because when Abraham dwelt in the land, wasn't he a stranger in it? When Isaac dwelt in the land, wasn't he a stranger in it? When Jacob dwelt in the land, wasn't he a stranger in it? So to fulfill the testimony, wouldn't the Mashiach have to be a stranger in the land of his inheritance that were promised to him? See, remember, we went over that before. About almost a year ago. Huh? Yeah. That's what they three represent. The three feasts. That's what they represent. Why you think it's three fathers? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what they represent. You know what I'm talking about? Easy money, man. But like I said, though, see, like we went over that a year ago. Abraham was a stranger in the land of promise. Isaac was a stranger in the land of promise. Jacob was a stranger in the land of promise. HaMasyiach has to be, or he don't fulfill the law. See, that's us looking at the promise. See, y'all we go back, we'll be a stranger in the land of promise. Till it's time for us to actually inherit. They dwelt in the land where y'all promised them as nomads and strangers. Thank y'all for the word. 3 and 14. We got to wrap it up. Galatians 3 and 14. That the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through Yahushua HaMasyiach, that we might receive the promise of the Ruach through faith. Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be a man's covenant, yet if it be confirmed, no man disannul or add thereto. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He saith not, and to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is a Mashiach. Boy, don't make that face, boy. Good grief. He going through it tonight, ain't he? A little more than usual. So when you sit back and think about that, brothers and sisters, right? He promised Abraham to make him a seed, right? To make him a mighty nation. So that means when a Mashiach who was ready to perish, just like Abraham was, that means when he come up out that grave, he became a mighty and populous nation. So we can see from these epistle letters. Hold on. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Do I even want 1 Corinthians chapter 15? Matter of fact, we don't even need 1 Corinthians, because we already established that in Romans chapter 8, that as many as is led by the Spirit of Elohim, they are the sons of Elohim. Which means you have been resurrected to become a son of Elohim. Which is to become a new creature. When you become a new creature, we went from sinners to Kodashim. You know what I'm saying about? To sanctify. So let's look at his other question. His other question was, the people have to be sanctified.
There you go. Oh, yes.
Sanctify them by thy truth. Thy word is true. And I sanctified myself by the truth, that they might themselves be sanctified by the truth. He that sanctifieth and he that sanctify all are one, for which cause he is not ashamed to call them brethren. And if he's not ashamed to call them brethren, that means they're a family. And if they're a family, that means they're a people. And if they're a people, that means they're a nation. And what is their nationality? The sons of the living Elohim. Because we no longer dwell in the flesh, but in the Ruach. And if we dwell in the Ruach, then we are entered into the family of Yahuwah. Galatians 3 and 15. I'm sorry, Ephesians 3 and 15. My apologies.
Leah, sit
My
down.
apologies.
Lizzie, sit down.
Back me up, though, to verse 10. We'll also get Hebrews 10 and about 17 to back that up. So we obviously see when HaMasyiach rises from the dead, that sanctified us to Yahuwah. Because we know in John 10 and about 35 or 36, he say, whom Elohim has sanctified? You say he blasphemed because he say he is the son of Elohim? See, the word is what sanctifies you, which we've already read that when we were looking at just being Kadesh. That's why we read it was just bigger than just establishing that to find out what is set apart is in the law. It was really for you to hear that you need to set yourself apart by the word, or you will not see this man at his return. Not in peace anyway.
You gotta sit down.
Say, to the intent that now unto the principalities and powers in Shamahim places might be known by the synagogue, to might be known by the body, the manifold wisdom of Elohim, according to the eternal purpose which he purposed in Yahushua HaMasyiach our master, and whom we have boldness and access with confidence by the faith of him. Wherefore I desire that you faint not at my tribulation for you, which is your esteem. I didn't read these epistle letters, man. All type of stuff come to my head, man. But we could sit back and show you the tribulation of Yah was for your esteem. We could sit back and look at the tribulation that Jacob went through was for his children's esteem. You know what I'm talking about? See, we can validate all this stuff.
Sit down.
You know, it's meat in this stuff, man. You know what I'm talking about? It's a lot of stuff that can be brought out of here so you can get some understanding. So you can, whatever's lacking in your faith might be perfected. You know what I'm talking about? Because Paul telling you what I suffered was for your glory. The same way what HaMasyiach suffered was for your glory. Like the writer of Hebrews said, he suffered that he might do what? Bring many sons unto glory. He say, for this cause I bow my knees unto the Father of our Master, Yahushua HaMasyiach, of whom the whole family in Shamahim and earth is named, that he would grant you according to the riches of his glory to be strengthened with might by his Spirit in the inner man, that HaMasyiach may dwell in your hearts by faith, that ye being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all Kodeshim what is the breadth and the length and the depth and height, and to know the love of HaMasyiach which pass knowledge, that you might be fulfilled with all the fullness of Elohim. Now he said the whole family in earth and on high is named after this man. You know who the family in Shamahim is? Do y'all know who the family in Shamahim is? Who is the family in Shamahim? The Malakim. Remember, he's before them. Epistle of Hebrews says what? He received a more excellent name than they. You know what I'm talking about? Remember, he said when one of the Malakim told Yachanan in Revelation 22, what? He said, man, I'm one of your fellow. He said, I'm of your brethren of the fellow servants, the prophet. He said, worship God. So that means all the Malakim and Shamahim is named after him. We know everybody in Iraq is named after him because you must be named after the name of Yasharah. You must become a Yahudim. Yahudim is the praise of Yahuwah. What is the praise of the Father? But his firstborn, because that's his strength. You know what I'm talking about? What made Yahusha the praise of Yahuwah? Because of his belief and obedience. Because he said his praise was not in men, but in Elohim. You know what I'm talking about? See, that's where HaMasyiach praise was at. Because what did he always do? He always say, my Father, my Father, my Father, my Father, my Father. Never spoke of himself. Sought no reputation. Plain man, dwell in tents. You know what I'm talking about? I don't need the recognition. See, we could delve into that more in depthly, but not tonight. You know what I'm talking about? Because everybody's named after this man. That's going to be saved. Notice he said the whole family. If you're a family, that means you're a nation. The only way you could be a nation is through this man's resurrection. Only way you could be through his resurrection, only way you could be sanctified is through his resurrection. His death and his resurrection is what set you apart. Let's see Hebrews 10 and 17 back. So we got one more thing to look at. He may not like how we answer the questions he may do. I don't know. I can only do it to the best of my ability. 10 and 14. Just like Peter said, man, I can only minister according to the ability that Elohim give. That's all I can do. I can't do nothing else.
You see?
10 and 12. He said, but this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins, forever sat down on the right hand of Elohim, from henceforth expecting until his enemies be made his footstool. For by one offering he had perfected forever them that are sanctified, whereof the Ruach HaKodesh also is witness to us. For after he had said before, this is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith Yahuwah, I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them, and their sins and iniquities will I remember no more. Now where remission of these is, there is no more offering of sin. Having therefore, brethren, boldness to enter into the Kadesh by the blood of Yahusha, by a new and living way, which he hath consecrated for us through the veil, that is to say, his flesh. You know what consecration means, right?
Sanctified.
Sanctified, set apart. So what set us apart? His blood, his flesh, his resurrection, his life. Therefore, you can keep these things because you have been sanctified. And the last question he says, they said they can only take place in Jerusalem. Now, the first place is in the law, it says this, right? He said the only place you could keep the feast were where? In the place where y'all choose to place his name. You know what I'm saying? Then when you turn around, you see he said you can only do it in Jerusalem. Now we know Jerusalem is interpreted to mean what?
City of peace.
The city of peace. But if Yeru leaves it off, then what it's going to translate to then? If it's called Jerusalem, who name in it?
Yeah.
The name of Yah is. That means this is Yah's city of peace, like I told you before. What's the other place? Absalom's place. Because Absalom mean what, Troy?
Peace. Shalom.
Means shalom. That's what it means, right? He said you can only do it in Jerusalem. Now, when we go look at it in the second half, Yah will on Shabbat, just out the Tanakh, he said in 2 Chronicles chapter 7 that this house which I sanctified to myself and placed my name in it. And we'll sit back and see that house is a HaMasyiach. And if that house is a HaMasyiach and he sanctified it and he told you to dwell in the Son and for the Son to dwell in you, that's what make you sanctified. And when we look at Hebrews 8 and 1, let's just see what it says. Because you know what you were going to Jerusalem for, right? Because that's where the house of Yah was at. See, the first place they came up to keep the feast was where? Y'all know the first place they kept them at?
Egypt. The wilderness.
The place where he placed his name at. Where's the first place he placed his name at, where they kept him feast at?
On that mountain.
They kept him in Shiloh. Remember he told him, Jeremiah, he said, he said, I will do to this house like I did to the one in Shiloh. You know what I'm saying? That's the first place that he placed his name at. Then he did, because you remember when they hadn't taken Jerusalem yet. You know what I'm talking about? Then when they took Jerusalem, that where he placed his name at, they changed it, didn't it? It used to be called Jebus. You know what I'm talking about? And what did he call it? This is Jerusalem. This is the name I put my name here. You know what I'm saying? Now, HaMasyiach is known as what? The Prince of Peace. You know what I'm talking about? He king and priest on his throne, just like Melchizedek was priest of the Most High Yah. And where did he dwell at? In Jerusalem. The place where he placed his name at. You know what I'm talking about? So what was it? What was in the place where he placed his name at? The sanctuary, the tabernacle. You know what I'm talking about? The temple of Yahuwah, right? Hebrews 8:1. Now the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such a high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of majesty in the Shamahim, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which Yahuwah pitched, and not man. So if the only place you could keep it in is Jerusalem, and HaMasyiach is Jerusalem, and he is the place where the Yah placed his name at, and you were going up for these 3 feasts to the house of Yah, and guess who's actually the house of Yah? HaMasyiach. And we already know from what we looked at and what we thought was tabernacles last month, which Yah we'll look at tomorrow, that he said, I caused a little sanctuary in all the places where I scattered you. So when you come up in the name of HaMasyiach to walk in him, see, hold on. 2 Corinthians chapter 6. Oh, he say, you first day lucky bastard, no taxation without representation. You lucky first day bastard. Six and 16. I ain't gonna go 14. I'm gonna go 6 and 16. Oh yeah. About to cut it short. He say, what agreement have the temple of Elohim with idols? For ye are the temple of the living Elohim, as Elohim said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Which means you will be a nation. And if you the temple of Elohim, that can only mean one thing. A temple got to be built on a foundation. And we have a sure foundation, which is HaMasyiach. Because remember, he told Peter, upon this rock, I'll build my house. So HaMasyiach was the laying of the foundation of the house. He's the actual house. The only way that Yah can be able to walk in you and do it, because you can't come in the temple unclean. So therefore, when we sit back and look at HaMasyiach as the house, and if he walks in you and you walk in him, then Yah is your power, and you are his son, and we are his nation, which means all 3 things are done. You keeping the feast in Jerusalem, you're sanctified, and you a nation, and therefore you ought to do it. Praise Yah for Yahushua HaMasyiach in the word. Y'all understood all this stuff this evening?
No.
Like Park say, is it clear for you?